Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Slay to Success Talk Show. My name is Rochelle Slay or Slay Queen Hemingway, CEO and founder of Slay to Success. And yes, y'all, we are having just a bit of difficulties this evening, but you know how we do here, okay? We just keep it moving, we keep it pushing on this show because it is live. And sometimes things don't happen the way that they're supposed to. But let me just assure you, you are where you're supposed to be tonight. And if you are here, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for you tuning in tonight because this is going to be a slay amazing conversation that you don't want to miss out on. Okay. So, here on the Slay to Success Talk Show, I bring in a guest, a man or a woman, all right, who is living life using the slave philosophies and they're making a positive impact in this world. And tonight, y'all, I have such a great guest who could share that with us. And when we start from slave, we're talking about in its entirety, to kill it, to dominate it, and to nail it, to be on point, to impress greatly, to dream big and work hard until you own it. It is also an acronym that stands for Universal Life and Leadership Philosophies that really resonate with me, and hopefully they resonate with you too. And that is stay ready to be ready, lead out loud, a sense of community, and knowing you are built to last. So as you come in on the show, as we all do, please let us know where you're streaming in from. Give us your name so that way I can give you a proper shout out. And while we're on the show, I'm going to figure out this lighting situation that just seems not to be able to be working in the background. But until then, y'all, just know I am here. We are here. And I love having this show because I learn about people, how they want to live their life. And I am a professional keynote speaker as well as a consultant. I have certification as an image consultant, so I do body of work in that. I also am an author of several different books, and some of them are being displayed here, and a United States Air Force veteran. And I served for 30 years, so a lot of the conversations that I have are centered around the lessons and the life that I used to have, but how I have transformed into what it is today. Okay. So thank you all for being here tonight with us. And let me just introduce our guest. All right. Her name is Veta Hurst, and she is a licensed attorney, a former federal executive, and an ICF certified coach with 25 years experience designing and leading large scale transformation systems within government. And when her position was eliminated 5 years ago before the full retirement eligibility, she faced a defining decision: accept early retirement at reduced pay or be separated from service. So she chose ownership over limitation, y'all. She stepped back for a year of intentional healing and strategic clarity, and she redefined not just what she would do next, but how she would lead it. And that whole season has been a season of recalibration. And her consultant business that she is the CEO and founder of is Phoenix Clear Insight Consultant. And today she partners with solopreneurs and executives navigating identity aligned transformation, helping them move from disruption to deliberate reinvention. She's building the creative collective to support emerging content creators. She's exploring the integration of AI and human coaching through EPIC Studios AI, and showing up consistently through her Saturday 9 a.m. Eastern Epic Live as VetaBravo, which we're going to talk through that during our conversation. And she's sharing content that inspires forward motion, affirms growth and progress, and reinforces a principle she embodies daily, which is movement paired with mindset, and which produces results. So please send a warm welcome, give a warm welcome for my guest, Veta Hurst. Hello, Queen.
Hello, Rochelle. Hello, Queen.
How are you this evening?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. It is so great to see you, and it has been such a journey getting here, and I'm delighted to have this opportunity to just come and just share some of the growth that I've had personally and professionally, and it's just fantastic to know that you've been part of that journey with me to get me to to where I am today.
I'm just super excited. Y'all, you don't even know when I get to like be a part of someone, just a small part of their journey, and I see where they were before and where they're at now, it just tickles me. It just tickles me to no point. So, Veta, I am so excited about our conversation. I'm grateful that you were able to be here tonight with us and to share about your journey so far. So, can you please share with the audience a little bit about yourself, and then we'll just start the conversation.
Oh, absolutely. So I am an immigrant from Jamaica. So I came here in the middle school years, and I did the journey through college, grad school, law school, and I was a practicing attorney with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And I was there for about 17 years, practicing legal civil rights work and policy work and work in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. And then I transitioned from there and I went to the executive office of the president, where I worked in the Office of Management and Budget as a human capital consultant. I did work in the DEI space, and I was also the acting director of human capital right at the beginning of COVID, which was quite an experience, let me tell you. And from there, I transitioned to my last stop in government, which was with AmeriCorps, where I was a diversity senior consultant, and just really working on employment engagement and coaching, and really helping folks rise to to be their best selves, because oftentimes we we have what we need to succeed. We don't give ourselves that credit. And so
Mhm.
I found myself in this space informally helping people to see that, from interns coming in all the way up to the executive leaders. And so prior to me leaving government, I had the opportunity to do training with the federal internal training program, coaching program. And it was a fantastic experience. So not only did I go on my own growth journey, I really realized how much I love coaching. And they say that if it's something that you would do for free, then that's a good indicia of maybe you could do it and earn a living at it. So I really kind of embraced that. And when it came to the end of my federal career there, I I took some time, just to just kind of figure out myself and what I wanted to do. And a big part of that was deciding to bet on myself, because
Mm.
for all of my career, my adult career, I was in a W-2 job in one form or another. And so at the point when I was asked to do that, take that early retirement or else, I said, I never want to be in that sort of situation again, of having
Mm.
someone else control my destiny. And
Mm.
so it was a huge leap of faith. And it really took a lot of soul searching, healing, confidence building. And it really ties into what we're going to be talking about here in terms of that my see it, believe it, achieve it framework. And my personal willingness to, I had to be ready, willing, and able to take that leap and take those growth efforts that I needed to do to get to where I am today. And part of that meant that I had to invest in myself
Mhm.
and define my image and the presence that I wanted to exude in the space that I expect to be connecting with my clients. And so it was just fortuitous, and I think ordained opportunity that I was able to connect with you last June, when I did, really when I was at the point of making that critical decision of what I wanted to do next. I'll
Yeah.
stop there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, our audience is absolutely loving what you're sharing right now. So I do want to say, big shout outs to Jennifer. Jennifer is here with us on the LinkedIn side. She said, impressive career, ma'am. Thank you for being here on the Slate to Success Talk Show,
Thank
Queen.
you.
And she also said, we can definitely be our own biggest critics.
Yes.
Imposter syndrome is real, but it isn't true. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So we're going to talk through that. Jennifer, you made a very solid point. So we're going to be talking through that as well. And then on the Facebook side, I got to look on my phone for the Facebook side. So we have Douglas Baum. Hey Douglas, how you doing? Hopefully everything's going well for you. And then Leslie George says good evening. And so good evening, madam. Thank you so much for being here live. My Aunt Sadie is here. Aunt Sadie from DC is online. So thank you, Queen, for being here. And Douglas made a comment and he said, amen to that, of betting on ourselves and really understanding what we are capable of doing. And Tiffany Cook is here as well, another queen of mine. So good evening. And Leslie reinforced the fact of betting on yourself. She put that into the
Absolutely.
comments because I think that is one of the things that sometimes, as you were telling about your career and being in that space and really like having a point of making a decision like, oh, well, what am I going to do? Like, I've known this for a very long time. You're highly successful in that space, So then now it's like, okay, do I accept early retirement, or and not really get paid, or am I going to do something completely different? And
Right.
so you deciding, hey, I don't want to be in this situation again. I don't want to feel like this. I just want to go out and do something and then making that decision. So I want us to talk through that a little bit because I know there are others that are out there that are at the juncture right now of deciding to make a pivot
Mhm.
and they're not quite sure. They may have been weighing the pros and the cons and going back and forth. So through that process, like how were you able to kind of like, uncover the veil of, okay, I'm making this as a point of my trajectory is going to change to this. How did that come to be for you?
Oh, well, actually, it was an evolutionary process, and it started back from when I was a child. I was adopted, and my mom always spoke of me being a phoenix because I was one of 13 children, and in the early years, I felt like I was abandoned because I was the only child that was given up for adoption. And really, the point that she made there is that you're a phoenix, a diamond from the dust, in that they didn't have the opportunity that you have right now. So you have a responsibility to rise. And
Mm,
for so many years, I wasn't brave enough to do that. I was successful in all of the traditional contexts. I had the degrees, I had a great job, I had a great salary, but I always felt like there was something else that I was supposed to do, but I never felt brave enough to do that. And as I evolved over time, I talked about with a girlfriend of mine that we were in government, that we were going to start a business in retirement. We were going to do EEO consulting and DEI work. And then the thought had been in the process, and it was going to be a long-term strategy that by the time I went into full retirement, it would be fleshed out. So I would have 5 years to really neat and fine and refine the concept. And I made some early efforts with that. In 2024, I actually had the business name that you see there. I incorporated the business, but again, I really didn't do much with it, thinking that I had so much time. And then when it got to the point where I was given the option 2 days after the administration started. Well, I was politely told that I had 24 hours to get whatever I needed and turn over but that my access would be restricted. And that was it.
mm,
And so I thought in that moment, what do I do in this space? And then we were given the option. So there was some back and forth that it was admin leave. I was paid the entire time up through the end of September, but there was a lack of clarity on whether I was going to be able to go back to work or not. I wanted to
mm,
go back to work. I enjoyed the job that I was doing. I wasn't ready yet. And then it became clearer over time that that was not an option. It was either,
Mm.
as you said earlier there, it was either you can retire because you have the years of service,
Yeah.
or we we can eliminate your position has been eliminated, so you figure out what to do. And so I had to
Mm.
make that decision, which essentially was a 60% pay cut for me in not being able to finish out those last 5 years. And then I had the option to make a decision in terms of I could look for another job in federal government, but at the time they had a hiring freeze, and that hiring freeze went mostly through June. And a lot of the positions that they had, um, it was important that there was
Mhm.
an alignment with my core values,
Yeah.
and there wasn't. And as you can
Mm.
see, you can see what's happening in the media now with the Department of Justice.
Yep.
And so the work of being an attorney in federal government, even in the civil rights space, was very challenging, and it was not the sort of work that aligned with my values as of now. And
Yeah.
just the earning expectations of other positions again weren't in line with my financial expectations for myself. And so then I had to decide, what do I do next? And I'd seen a lot of strong, very successful women, including yourselves, and some of the women that you have worked with and just over the years that were extraordinarily successful
Mhm.
solo entrepreneurs. And in my mind, I was always like, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could be brave like that and bet on myself and do all of that. But there's just no way. I was a single parent for a long time, and I was just like, I need to put bread on the table. I can't do that. But when it came to that point where I had to choose, and you did a wonderful email, which it was so timely. It was just one of those, Rochelle, get out of my brain moments there, because you sent out a email that said, it was something along the lines of why I walked away from $150,000 job offer.
Yep.
And I was just like, wow. And
Yep.
that was kind of a light bulb moment for me, because yes, I could go out and get that sort of salary or higher, but is that what I wanted to do, putting my life in someone else's hands again?
Mm.
And I decided it wasn't, but that meant that I had to bet on myself. And so part of that process for me involved me being brave enough to go out and take that risk. And so part of how I decided to take that risk, because it involved me being more visible than I had
Yeah.
ever been in the last 2 to 3 years of my career in federal government. I was more behind the scene as a policy advisor, if you will, than being up front. And so I said, gosh, I really need to do something different. And so what I did is I went on social media. I went on TikTok, and I said, I'm gonna this seems to be the new age. They said you have to learn social media, you have to learn AI.
Mhm.
That's the wave of the future. And so I was in a very cringe and awkward space there, if you will. But I
Mhm.
decided that if I wanted to go out and do these things and be a presence and model the behavior for others, to let them see what was possible despite
Yep.
how you may be feeling inside, I did it.
Yep.
So I did it cringe, I did it scared. And part of what you had to put a screen name when you go on, on social media. And so what I did, I chose my name, which Vita means life in Italian, if you change the E for an I.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then the Bravo, I did it for two things. One, it meant that I was the B, meaning I was brave enough to start to go into that social media space, even though it felt cringe, even though my son was out there and a lot of his friends were active on social media. And that, and I had a conversation with him. It's just like, I'm going to be out there. Are you okay with that?
Mhm.
And he was such a huge supporter. And he says, and in some of my early posts, he said, Mom, you might want to make that one private. But he was so
Listen,
supportive.
these boys, they be telling exactly what they want us to do. Like if there's any boy moms out there, you already know. All right. But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh.
so he was a huge advocate of me in this space, because I didn't want to do anything that was going to embarrass him or make him lose cool point in front of his friends, but he was incredibly supportive. He was my biggest fan on every post that I've ever done. He's always gone out there and liked it, and if it really struck him right, he would make a comment. So I'm incredibly supportive. So the B meant that I was brave enough to start. The R was for that I could rise to the moment. So despite the fear, despite just not just being scared to do it, that I said I was going to do it. I was going to be consistent. I was going to try no matter what happened. No, I didn't know what to expect out there, but I said I was going to do it. And so the A is act. So I was going to rise to the moment, take on the challenge. I was going to act despite the fear, and I was going to validate my effort. And the importance of validating means that you are, or I'll speak for myself, that I celebrate those moments that I did it. So I every time I did a video, I expected it to go viral. Okay, not everyone, but they always talk about the viral videos.
Yeah.
And but and then I learned that or the definition of a viral video is 1 million or more views.
Yep.
And then I was just like, oh, okay. So I had to adjust my paradigm there. And
Yeah.
but what it meant, that I celebrated when I had a video that got more than 60 views, that got over 100 views, got over
Yeah.
300 views, got over 20,000 views, and so there I was able to celebrate those small steps and validate and own my progress. And so I go by VetaBravo because that just kind of celebrates the journey that I've been on, and that I would expect that any of my clients might be on there, that you have to be brave enough to take that risk on yourself. Just love your life, love you as you are, and realize that there is awesomeness in you, and that we're going to walk that journey together to get to that.
Yeah. I'm telling you that our audience is absolutely loving what you have shared. On the Facebook side, Leslie said that she loves that you use the word brave, and it's how she signs her books. So that's, she's an
Wonderful.
author. She helps others write their books as well and publish them. And so when she's out book signing, that's what she puts into her signature. And then she said, "This is so good." And that she loves your honesty. So,
Thank
this
you.
is where we know that it's these signals of walking into your authority, walking into alignment. And, from the story that you just shared with the breakdown of Bravo, with you putting yourself out there on social media, all these things that are at first scary, and they're like, you're being vulnerable of, okay, I'm putting myself out here. What are people going to say? I think once you get over that hump, you have no idea of what is to come after that. And I
Right.
love that you are building your brand out loud, and that is the beauty of what we can do when we have experience on top of experience of things that we can do naturally in our sleep, and building a business around that, but creating the brand as you're building the business. The
Yes.
story of you being one of 13, and you were the only one that was given up for adoption, in itself is, the line between the title of your business, of what you named it, and the story about what your mom said to you. Those are the things that can help us as we're doing the storytelling. And I just love that you are using that to your advantage, because it helps to accelerate success in the way that we, attract the right opportunities, the right clients, the right ways to, share our gift. So I am loving I'm loving all the things that you were saying, and our audiences too. And then Jennifer says paradigm shifts are so necessary sometimes. Comparison is a thief of joy. We each have our own paths to walk.
Yes. Yes, can I tell you, I just have to interject there. That is so true. And I'll give you the perfect example of that. Before I retired, before I had to leave government there, I had, as a part of my training program, I had a coaching program in the federal government. I had a mentor coach. And so I was talking about what my plan was for the upcoming quarter of the year, and I listed 5 or 6 things that I wanted to accomplish. And she asked me, well, what would success look like? And so I identified all of these external factors in terms of what my supervisor would say, what my teammates would say, what
Mm,
the other external fact. I was planning a huge conference, and it would be a success if I met all of these metrics. And she said, what if you didn't get any validate? You did all of that work and you got no validation. Would it make your work any less valid? Would it make you any less worthwhile or valued as a person? And
mhm,
that was a mic drop moment for me, because
mhm.
it made me really think about what I defined as success,
That's
and
right.
that I was looking at it externally instead of when I was younger, and just the way I approach things. And I still do. It's just like I wanted to do it at such a level that when somebody looks at my work, it's just like, you can't tell me a damn thing, because I know
That's
I
right.
slayed it. I
Yes.
know I slayed it.
Slated and slated on top of the sleigh. Like
Exactly.
we do that. I mean, I think that
Yes.
as experienced leaders and those that have done the job, and we want to make it, better and better every single time. And
Hmm.
and then somehow, some way, we're looking for someone else to say, yeah, like, yeah, you did that. And
Yeah.
and that internal persons or whatnot. And it's almost like the little ego, right? It was always great to hear
Yes.
that. The ego
Yes.
was being massaged, and you were like, yeah, that you did that. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, when you're looking at it and you're now making this pivot, like, what does success look like for you now? I mean,
Hmm.
you don't have anyone to define it. Now you have to define it for yourself,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know?
And that was such a huge shift there. But just going back to the last point, and in transitioning, I had to realize that validation had to first come from myself, that I had to stop judging myself, and that I had to really make that decision that I was ready, willing, and able and brave enough to move forward in my path to my destiny, regardless of what anyone else said, regardless of the risk. I believed in myself and what I was capable of, and I'm still on that journey.
Yeah.
But I believe what I'm capable of doing, and I took a lot of small steps along the way to get to where I am in this moment. And there is this year will be a big kind of, I'm not, I'm going to use make it or break it, but I think it's what I wanted to say is a defining um journey in self actualization, because I believe
Mm,
there are great things ahead for me. And it's
yes.
just really me taking those defining steps from getting out of my head. And it really aligns too with the coaching philosophy that I use in terms of people being ready, willing, and able, because I've
Mhm,
done coaching for years.
mhm.
And in terms of, I've wanted to do a business for years, but the question was, I could see what I wanted to do, because my philosophy is see it, believe it, achieve it. And I established that philosophy back in probably in 2002, 2003. And but fast forward now to really 2024 through 2026. I had to take that time to really believe it, and really have the rug snatched out from under me to say, like, well, do you really believe it?
Yeah.
because if you believe it, you need to go out there and achieve it. And so I had to take this past year saying, yes, I believe it, and really defining the frameworks that I would use going forward to achieve it. And so this year is about achievement. And my word of the year is accomplished, because I believe I will accomplish these things and be accomplished in all the people that I can help to guide along the journey. So, yeah.
Mm, this is like sweet tea to my ears. I don't even drink sweet tea like that, but I'm just like, wow, this is like so, I mean, just the awareness that you have now and kind of the journey that you're pursuing and really understanding what you are doing is enough, first of all,
Right.
and it will produce the results that you're looking for because of the
Exactly.
mindset. I mean, the mindset is
Right.
different now. You had to adjust to, okay, I don't have this, stable income coming in. What is it that I can do? And it has to be in alignment with my core values. I want it to be something that I absolutely love, that but I also know that I have the skill sets to actually make this happen. So lots of comments here. So first of all, Douglas, on the Facebook side, he said, "It is awesome how you took the bleakest moment in your adult career and turn it into a story of trailblazing in the entrepreneurial space. Good for you," with the hand clap. Okay, so Douglas, I love you for that. This comment is absolutely golden. And then Leslie said, "Wow, what a question." When we were talking about what does success look like for you when your mentor supervisor was saying this to you, and she says, "We need to ask ourselves, what is success? What is the definition of success for us
Yes.
in real time?" And Jennifer, oh my goodness, Jennifer over here, she holding LinkedIn down. She said the butterfly effect. Okay. We don't know how much our work affects one person and then how that person
Yes.
runs with it. And it affects a multitude more, and so on and so forth. And I know
Absolutely.
Leslie, she will appreciate this comment too. The way that Jennifer said it's the butterfly effect, she says the ripple effect, like throwing a pebble into the water and watching the waves and how many waves are produced from that one pebble. So that analogy is just spot on. I believe in that. And she says, "This is so good, Rochelle. Sunday evening well spent."
I
Well, I'm
agree.
happy to accommodate. I love how, we continue to have these conversations. So this is just one big conversation with many people having the same conversation from their different perspectives. So love to just get on the platform and share the people that I know with everybody else. So we did talk through about success and defining what success looks like for us in the next chapter, and especially now you're in the entrepreneurial space. So in the entrepreneurial space, there's a lot of things that we don't know about. It's like a steep learning curve when you start out
Yes.
because you're like, yeah, I want to own the business, but then when you start talking business, you're like, oh, well, like I didn't know that was part of it too. So can you
Yeah.
tell us like maybe the top few things that you found out in the business world that you weren't aware of or you had to learn quickly about that you would share for someone who may be at that starting point of starting their own consulting or coaching business?
Well, you, what I would say at the start out is you don't know what you don't know. I was very fortunate in that my partner and I knew several people like yourselves and other solo entrepreneurs that I had been talking to in the space about what I wanted to do. And so, right at the point where I had that decision point of you're laid off, they said, Vita, these are some things that you need to do. And I think this is really, really important. There are a lot of great free resources out there. And one of them I think is coming up in March, but there is the, I think it's the Maryland Small Business Association. It's in Montgomery County, but they have an event in March for women solopreneurs. And it was a great one day resource. So, and actually the picture that I took that is on my LinkedIn photo, that was one of the things that came out of that setting. So they had a lot of information about how women entrepreneurs can succeed in the business were, and what sort of resources were available at the state and local level to support our growth, which was tremendous. And then one of the things that they also talked about was having that executive presence to pitch your business. And so, and as a part of that, they gave us a session on doing our makeup and getting a professional headshot, which is really important in projecting. And so, and that the foundation that they laid there made it make sense to me when I met you, as to why I needed you, which is not something that I appreciated before that. In addition to that, there are a lot of small business incubators that are out there. And my partner, he did one in Prince George's County, and he found so much benefit from it. He said, you should do this. And so even though I didn't know, and this is the thing too, in terms of making that transition, I went through a period of fog because I couldn't I hadn't yet decided that I wanted to go out on my own. The business concept was there, but just the framework, how I was going to pitch it, how I was going to talk through it, that cringe period, it was there. But what I did was a lot of learning, and I was really, really fortunate. And what I would encourage you to do is, if you have the time and space, is give yourself some time to rest, heal, and think, and not have the stress of, okay, I need that next paycheck. That was invaluable for me. And I understand that everybody's not in that space. And I only had that space because of Doge and everything else that happened. But if you can create that time and space, even if it's just a few hours. So the thing that I went to in Montgomery County, it was a one-day session. The small business incubator that I did with it was called the EPIC, and it was every Tuesday for, I think, about 90 minutes. And so you signed up, you did a quick application, and they basically ran through A to Z of small business in those nuggets, and they had industry leaders that touched on finance, that touched on setting up the business infrastructure, whether you want to do a nonprofit or an LLC. They talked about just the importance of networking. They talked about getting credit and getting credit before you need it, which was incredible because I was able to use that advice there in terms of getting a loan before a line of credit. I'm sorry, a line of credit before I had to take that early retirement at the end of September, because one of the things that you have to do is prove you have earning potential. And it's kind of
Mhm.
hard to do that when you don't have it, or you don't
Yeah.
have it at the level that you had before. So they gave a lot of great information. And so I was able to get that information. Something else that was really helpful for me was just, as I said, just having that network of success. I am incredibly blessed and fortunate to have met some incredible women, and who weren't gatekeepers, who were willing to share information. And so they connected me to I don't know that it's active anymore, but it was the Bi-County Roundtable, which is where I got the opportunity to meet you. And that, again, was other small business entrepreneurs that were looking to uh, make connections at the state and local level. And so, and it was a great networking opportunity. And that's what I would say: network, 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 even for the extreme introverts. And one of the things that I did is, as an extreme introvert, I would say I'm more of an ambivert now because I do it when I have to.
Yeah.
But as an introvert, what I would say is that when I go into the room, introduce myself to one person, the person that I feel most connected and comfortable with. And in that instance, that was you. And what a decision, because you walked into the room with such presence. And I said, I want that queen energy when I walk into the room. And I didn't decide to do it right away. I think we
Mhm.
actually met 3 or 4 other times before
We
I
did.
actually made that decision to have the conversation with you. And then I took a little while after that to
Mhm.
actually commit to signing up to bet on myself, if you will. And then I also had to, there was this fog of all of the, there's, it's like a huge learning curve. You're drinking from a watering hose of so much different information. And what I loved about you is that you pitched what you had, you told the story, you mapped the journey, and you gave me the space to do it at my own pace. And
Yes.
that was just tremendous in terms of the growth journey to help me get comfortable in terms of the navigation. And what you also did an amazing job of conveying is that I have no doubt of where you're going. It is only a matter of time. And you were clear in how you had the conversation that it's not a matter of if, but when you're going to exceed your wildest expectations. And that's why I felt comfortable starting this year with accomplished. And the other thing that I would say is, even as I'm saying this, there are moments of where I'm up here. It's just like,
Hmm.
I'm absolutely going to do it. I'm going to blow my mind and everybody else's. And then I vacillate to, so not quite imposter syndrome, but like, what were you thinking?
Oh yeah.
I mean, and then life is lifeling, and there's stuff that happens, and there are glitches, and it's just like, okay, but I'm gonna keep moving through it. But you just can't stop.
You
You
can't
just can't
stop.
stop.
Everything that you have shared is this, I have seen from the very first time that we met to where you're at right now. And it's like, you talk about the fog. Transition is a fog. There is like a lot of decisions that you have to make, um, as far as not only professional but personal. And the last thing you're
Yes.
doing is trying to start something anew, not really
Right.
understanding what that even is going to look like. So I
Right.
feel like when we met, it was it was just that beginning phase of, okay, let me like step back for a hot second, take a look at what's going around. You share so many of the
Right.
resources that are available for, at the state and the local levels, which, a lot of people don't understand or really, how to navigate in that space. And
Right.
so the thing that you really share that I think is most valuable is the network piece, to like just put
Yes.
yourself out there, find out what
Right.
people are doing, how to communicate. People are more than gracious, to,
Yes.
find out what you do, how you do it. And the more you get comfortable of sharing, because
Yes.
when you first start anything, I remember first starting out my military career, I had no idea what I was doing. It's just like that, right? And when you started out as in the government, you didn't know what all the things were. It took time. It took
Yes.
2 decades, over 2 decades to get to your
Yes.
point. So in business, it's like the same type of philosophy, right? And we're still figuring out. Listen, y'all, when we first started this show, let me just tell you, I've had this show for 2 years. I was pushing buttons up in here, and it was for the other show. Okay. And then I had to go and get the video for this show. And then the light was, glitching and doing all the things that it was doing in there. It kicked me out. Do you know I had to log back in while the video is playing? These are the things that I'm talking through, because everyone thinks that you have to have everything figured out when you first start. If you can get past a certain point in the fog to kind of like, okay, what do I want to become? Who do I want to become? How am I going to get there? Making these small steps. And so we got a lot of comments, okay, as we are talking through this. First of all, we have Camilla Woodham is on the YouTube side. So thank you so much for logging in and viewing us from that side. She says, phenomenal conversation. Bravo. Love that. She used your word. Is this someone you know?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, see, look.
We actually started out in government together. So she's still working in government and considering making her transition. So it's phenomenal that she's able to come on and hear this
Oh
conversation.
yeah, this is awesome.
So
So thank you. And her first name is Camilla.
Yeah, Kamala.
Kamala. Well, nice to meet you, Kamala, virtually. Thank you so much for dropping in tonight at the show. Jennifer says, I've contemplated starting a coaching business for a while now, but it seems daunting to take that leap. And it is a daunting world because it's different. It's a different type of world. If you are now in like military or government, of course, it's it's far from that. There's, so you're trying to go into a space that you don't know about, but the more you learn about it, the more you find out if it's fitting for you. And she says, so important that Rochelle has the queen energy and presence and ability tonight. See, look at this light, y'all. Um, in others, way that allows them to become their own version of themselves. That is
Yes.
bold and ready to slay. Yes, like, yes, we that is a whole premise of it. Like, I don't fix anybody. I don't, I don't believe in that. I feel like everyone has it in there. I might be the catalyst. I get you started.
The
All right.
spark.
I'm
The
the
spark.
spark that kind of says, you know what? I'm doing it too. We're gonna walk together and we're gonna do it together. Here are some things to think about. And I'm holding your hand. Me and Vita still talking. I mean, even after our experience, we're still doing a lot of, advising and support in that way. So, it just really is about who you're walking with. All right. It makes it different because there's a lot of
Correct.
people who don't necessarily want to see you win and succeed. And you just have to use discernment. You have to use discernment. And then have let's see here. Goodness gracious, y'all blowing up here on the Facebook side. Leslie says absolutely. She says yes, the ripple effect. Success is touching one person. This is a juicy, rich conversation. Lindsay says she's here. She says, hi, ladies. Great discussion. So thank you, Lindsay, for being here. And Douglas says your network equals your net worth. And he's absolutely correct. And so,
Right.
Douglas, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And that's just a reminder. And then Jennifer says you should use that. Let me spark your sleigh.
Okay. All right.
Listen.
Okay. Now I have to tell you, talk about a spark. You said Lindsay was on the line there. So I have to give a huge shout out to Lindsay because it was actually because of Lindsay why I got to be introduced to you. So she's just really been tremendous in the space. And one of the things that she did, which was actually a tipping point for me, which we didn't yet get to, so I just want to get to that quickly before we end, is navigating how AI can be a business accelerator. And so she introduced me to prompt engineering, if you will.
Ah.
And so I had been using prompts before, but Lindsay took it to a whole nother level. And that really accelerated my journey in terms of understanding how prompts can be used to help accelerate the work. So work that you might think you need 5 or 6 people to do and thousands of dollars
Yeah.
back in the day maybe, and it would have been daunting. And two, I think it was Jennifer was saying that gosh, it just seems so daunting to launch into the coaching space. I said, just that's what I thought at first. But there's more than enough people that need that. And so it's really about finding your niche and your voice. And one thing that I would tell you is your voice has a frequency, and your people will find you with that frequency. And like I said, Rochelle had that queen energy. And so, and part of that is she exuded what I needed in the next step that I needed to evolve to. And so that was important for my brand. In terms of what Lindsay did for me, is she helped me to refine what I was looking for, because she gave me a couple of prompts, that comprehensive prompts that I have used to just evolve my business framework. And it's been tremendously helpful. So I'm now at the point where I'm getting ready to execute on that, but I just decided to stay simple with the Wix framework like we were talking about outside. But she's giving me the framework that when I get ready to build and expand, it'll
Mm-hmm.
be there. But one of the things that I wanted to tell you about with the social media space, and it's kind of coming full circle. So I started out on TikTok and I covered a variety of topics aligned with mindset, with really just consistency, my fitness journey, et cetera, et cetera. And in time, it evolved so that just most recently, a friend of mine told me about a new platform that launched unofficially last year. And I for those of you that are if you use TikTok, you heard about the transition that was happening from Chinese to American ownership. And around mid-January, on the 21st to the 22nd, there was a huge glitch. There was a power outage. And I don't think that end users saw it as much, but the creators on the back end, like myself, experienced basically about 2 days when our videos that we posted had no views. And so it was just,
Mm,
and that's how we get visibility and get access to certain of the programs that allow you to be monetized. And so
mm,
it created, there was a lot of consternation there. There was very poor communication about what was happening and why. And so what happened is someone that, another creator that I follow said, hey, there's a new platform out there. It's called Epic it's Epic Studios AI. So it's the acronym EPIC. And it's I forget what the acronym stands for, but it really is what I would analogize it to is LinkedIn on steroids, in that think about how we're sitting in this room right now, with the two of us talking together. It's a construct similar to that, but instead of us, the chats being across the space, that with you navigating your audience, your people, those people locked into your frequency are coming into the room and and they are able to chat and have a conversation in real time, and we're able to connect and engage, and you're able to sell isn't the right word. You're able to brand yourself
yeah.
in a way that, so it's not wording, it's video, it's visual, it's a
Mm,
deep connection that you're able to create. And so to was it Jessica talking about the how do could I actually go into that space? I am finding it's a very dynamic space for that, and that people want to be listened to, they want to be heard. You know, when you think about the old comedy Cheers, where everybody knows your name,
yeah.
people want that. They are literally thousands of people coming on this platform every day, and they're searching for a way and a path, and someone who hears them, listens to them, cares for them, validates them, and they'll
Mm.
actually pay you for that. And I
So
mean,
is
and then
this, hey Vita, is this similar to Clubhouse? Because that's what Leslie just mentioned. But Clubhouse was more, it was audio. Have you ever been on the
um
Clubhouse app?
I have not. I have
Well,
not.
so when COVID started, like when the pandemic started, there was an underground app, and it's still happening, but more so it became very popular. Um, and it's an app where you can create a room and you have a particular conversation around whatever topic, but you couldn't see people. You could see their
Mhm.
pictures, but you're saying that this app is actually a video?
Yes, so you actually, so think about when you are what's a good example? So they have content similar to the other platforms like Instagram and TikTok, but what happens is you're in you essentially have access to go live. You have a button says go live, and when you go live, you actually they have an algorithm, if you will, that puts you out there. And right now, the way it's described is you're trying to make your way up the top 100. And in order to do that, you have to network. And so right now, there's a lot of teaching that's going on in the platform. And there's some high visibility creators that go in there and they teach you how to use the rooms. And so in those spaces, some of the largest creators, they will make upwards of $50,000 a month.
What?
That's on the high end. But on the lower end, you make nothing. You make nothing
Right.
when you're starting out. But the idea there is that you go in there and people want to feel connected, they want to feel heard, they want to feel validated, they want to feel good about themselves. And when you make people feel good, they reward you. So in the traditional
Mm.
coaching space, you have the discovery call, you make a pitch, and
Yep.
or you tell your story, you offer a package, and people sign up and they go through that journey. And so there's always still a place for that. But if people want to do some window shopping and they want to see how you work and they want to see how you build community, and it creates a space where there are other people who are just like you. So I'll give you an example. Today I was in a room with a woman that she is vegan, and she wasn't always vegan, but she said, yes, I had to be vegan. I made the journey to being vegan because I was over 400 pounds. My doctor said that I had to go on medicine for high cholesterol, and I was pre-diabetic. And immediately there were 3 or 4 of us in the room that we could resonate with that. We could vibe on that. And we could hear about her journey from, girl, yes, I used to eat fried chicken and all of that stuff. And this is what I did. This was my journey. This was my walk. And so it's like, oh, you get an experience you get an opportunity to sample that. When you look at a person's bio on LinkedIn, um, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. They'll put, and if they put a post out, you get more insights. But it's not the same as when you have this video, this organic connection that we're able to have dynamically. We're able to talk. And so you can have it where you're in your own room and you have your own tribe, if you will. So you have 6 or 8 people, and you don't need a lot of people in there. There are people that will have over 100 people, 50 or 80 people. But really and truly, when you think about it, if you have 6 or 8 people, or 2 to 4 people that come consistently and know your value and know that they feel valued, they are willing to reward you by giving you gifts, which can translate into an an income. Because like I said, the top creators are making 50,000, and that there are a limited number of those, but generally speaking, you can make you can replace a 6-figure salary on there.
Mm.
And there are people that do it, they have their full-time jobs and they do that because the money is so good. And so I'm learning about that space. But I'm just going back to what I was saying about Lindsay and just the social media journey, just understanding there is so much that's happening in the social media space, in the AI space, that we are doing a disservice to ourselves,
Mhm.
that we don't take the time to get acclimated to it and navigate and get through that cringe space that I've been
Mhm.
in. And now a lot of stuff makes so much more sense than it did 6 months ago. So if there's any takeaway that I would say to folks out there, is get familiar with AI, get familiar with some prompt engineering. It's a lot of stuff that you can do. And if you're looking to start a business, there's a lot of free resources, but you can test the concept of what you're trying to do. And the more you work with AI, it gets to learn and understand who you are. And if you're really good with the prompt engineering, you can direct it for what you're trying to become. Now you have to guide the process. I think a lot of people are overwhelmed now by AI and saying it's smarter than me, it's going to overtake me, when really what you need to learn to do is manage it and
Mhm.
manage your journey, and it can help you navigate in that space.
Yeah, those are solid pieces of advice. One, when you're sharing a new app, because when you were sharing it with me on your bio, I was like, what is this one? I need to know what we're doing here, right? I'm already going to be researching that this week, because I feel like
Absolutely.
the spaces that we're in, coaching, consulting, any of those things where people have to learn you and they got to get to know you, to really discover like how do you do the work that you do. It is, you know, and I love the phrase window shopping, you know, like
Yeah.
really kind of like seeing what's out there, right?
Yeah.
And
It's
you
speed networking and window shopping combined. Yeah.
exactly. So, and I know Leslie, because Leslie's listening, she is definitely going to be in there because she held a clubhouse room, and
Okay.
that's how I found her and the community.
Okay.
And so that was when I first started out in my entrepreneurial journey, where I didn't know what I was going to do, and it was significant to where I am today and what I've been able to
Okay.
do. So evolution can come in sort of different ways, and how we choose to use these tools, because these are tools. And AI, like I use AI every day, and people are just like, oh my goodness, you're so nervous. They're so like, you know, hesitant about, you know, the robot's going to take over. Well, you know, AI is like here, and if you're not going to use it, you're going to be left behind when it comes to that.
Yes. Yes.
So, you know, not only, and I know that it has, you know, helped you because you're getting ready to, you know, start your autobiography. I know we talked about that, you know, and potentially, I'm sure, using AI to help with the, you know, the refinement. I think it
Mhm.
has helped me to become a better writer. It has helped
Yes.
me to explore and expand my thoughts, you know, way more outside of what I already have. And, you know, the communication, the way that we express ourselves is truly how people get to know us. And that
Yes.
language, you know, is part of the presence, whatever it is that you are showcasing.
Yeah.
So love our conversation. And Leslie says, oh yes, I will be on this app by tonight. Okay. So you know,
Absolutely.
you know, like,
Absolutely.
you know, help someone else, like, and she's a pro. So I'm like, any information that, you know, you
Yeah.
have, and I love the terminology of not gatekeeping and sharing, because people think that, you know, this is a competition, but really in reality, if me and you were doing the same thing, we would still have different audiences. We would still have,
Yes.
you know what I
Yes.
mean? Because, you know, the way that somebody sees me versus the way that they see you, totally different. And but yet the
Yeah.
same goal is to get them
Yeah.
to improve their life in such a way, right? So
Right. Yeah. And
so
just
I
remember what I said about just every voice has a frequency, and
yep,
there's someone locked into that frequency. And the last thing that I would say, because I know we're over time, but
yeah,
social media has been amazing for me just in terms of the initial return on investment, if you will, even in terms of lead generations. In that by me posting what I just my quote unquote cringe content, I actually met a great client. We don't really have time to get into it, but I had a youth creator reach out to me and said, "Hey, can you help me?" And
yeah,
it's turned into a significant, what I think will be a significant business opportunity, all from me going out there and posting my content and really just kind of talking about um uplifting youth in Baltimore, doing great things and being youth entrepreneurship in Baltimore. And he reached out and he's doing some amazing things, which you should be hearing more about soon. But that's the power of social media. And so I'm not, I told you about the new app, but I'm not abandoning the old one because that's where I got my start.
that's
So
right.
there's a lots of opportunities, unexpected opportunities that can come from you being out there. So if Leslie wants to go into the coaching space, I say just
Oh no,
jump
she
in with
already
both
there.
feet.
Yeah, listen,
Oh,
she
okay.
already there. All
Okay.
right. She's
Okay.
like, she is you know, an entrepreneur who
Okay.
helps women specifically write their books, you write their stories, get them self-published. She does that in the coaching
Okay.
space, consulting space. She's always looking to learn more. And I think that's the part of being an entrepreneur, is being open to learn
Yes.
more things that are out there that you could do. Because when you have a closed mindset as a business owner, You only see it as the one thing or how things can be done. And I love when you say you're missing out on all these other opportunities. And I am so excited for you and this opportunity that you have with the youth in Baltimore, right? Because, you would have never had that if you didn't put yourself out there. And
Hmm.
so I agree with you. Everything that we have done as far as learning and being open in the growth mindset, learning more about business, has been able to really prove to ourselves, all right,
Yes.
that we are more than capable of doing something different.
Hmm.
We were trained to do one thing, very, very well, and had no idea we could be trained to do something else very, very well. So
Yes. Yes.
I absolutely love our conversation. So what is there else to leave the audience with that we haven't said over the past hour?
I think I was able to touch on most of the points that I wanted to get across. And the biggest takeaway in all of this is be willing to bet on yourself and take that time to learn and grow and take those small forward progress steps that lead you to where you want to be. And just like I opened with just being brave, and I will close with that, because when you bet on yourself, when you're able to validate and celebrate all that you are, the sky's really the limit. The sky's really the limit. And I am so happy that I've just really been able to navigate in that space and make that journey. Because when you bet on yourself, when you can validate yourself that I know what I'm doing, I want to take this risk, and I'm going to plan for how I'm going to make this happen. And that's key, just making that plan. And what I also say is, be kind to yourself, and just remember, every day is a new day to make a fresh start. And I can't tell you just how many times I've started this process and stopped.
Mhm.
And you could say I failed. Um, but I don't look at it as failure. I look at it as data, and data is evidence that I can then use to make my process better. That being said, you don't want to over perfect, which is really part of where my real struggle has been, because I wanted to get it just right, and 80% is good enough.
80% is good
And
enough.
that's really, yeah. So
I
so that's
listen.
what I would close out.
I absolutely go by that every day now. Oh,
Yeah.
we came from worlds where we had to dot those I's and cross those T's, right? And
Yes.
now in this
Yes.
new way of learning and growing, learning that 80% will get you to places that you never ever, and the 20% will be figured out some way or another. All right. So
Yes. Yes.
excited about your
Yes.
journey. And Jennifer, she says, thank you both for
That's it.
sharing your thoughts and experiences, the spark I needed. So hopefully we can see you
Yes.
in
Absolutely.
your own way, Jennifer, of what you do. And it's not like you've got to do it like right now. You do it in your own time and how you want to present that. And then Leslie says, thank you for this rich convo as well on the Facebook side. And I have one last question for you because, I think me and you are certainly at the same point of in our life of having more years behind us than we do in front of us, and really making the years that we have to be as meaningful, purposeful, impactful as we can when we're in these mission
Right.
purpose driven um well, I guess, it's a more of the work, the body of work that we're doing. So, my plan is to get to the 80 years. If God gives me 80 years, I'm just going to be like over the moon. But in
Hmm.
that moment, there are things that I want my family and friends to say about me when they have, the podium and they're like, oh my goodness, she did this and she did that and whatever, right? And
Hmm.
so, with that being said, what would you want your family and friends to say about you if God blesses you with 80 years? And what is it that you are working towards that could be helpful for the audience at large?
Well, I really go back to my signature frameworks there, which is the see it, believe it, achieve it, which is that I will touch as many lives as God makes it possible for me to do, that I can help them see what's possible in them, that I can help them move towards believing what's possible and taking those small forward progress steps to achieving it. Because when you think about reach one, teach one, when you
Hmm.
think about the difference that you can make in a single life by helping that person step out of their own way, the sky is the limit. And so I can't say that there's a signature thing that I want to do, but I want to help as many people as possible step out of their own way and achieve what is possible that they thought was impossible. And so, a number that comes to mind is I'd like to touch at least 1,000 lives in a significant, meaningful way, because I really feel like we could we each have the ability to change the world.
Yeah.
And we need someone that can help us see it, believe it, and achieve it ourselves.
Yeah.
Really, and I'll close with this example, which is one that really resonated with me. And it years I heard the story years ago about a Paralympic skier. She was born with one a birth defect, which meant that she had one leg that was shorter than the other. It was just a stump, and she had to have it amputated. But
Mm.
she lived in California, and she wanted to be an Olympic skier. And so,
Yeah.
who would think, right? But what she said, that was her dream, and her mother believed her and supported her in that dream. And so she did become one of the top Paralympic skiers in the world. And what happened is she was in the Olympics. I think this was back in the 80s. And she was supposed to be a lock for the gold medal. And so she was in first place after the first two runs, and she had one more run to solidify her place. And what happened as she made that final run, she went over a rough spot and she took a tumble and she went down. And
Hmm.
all these thoughts raced through her head. It's just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I was doing so well. I had the goal unlocked. And look at this. I am here. I am down here. I'm probably not even going to be able to finish. And I have to finish. And she gets up and she finishes the race.
Yeah.
And she finishes in third place.
Hmm.
And then she found out that the person that won gold also fell down at the same
Hmm.
spot,
Hmm.
but got up faster.
Mm.
And so that was another mic drop moment for me there. So, I mean, about possibility. And when you believe in yourself and you have people who believe in you and what's possible, and that even when you believe in yourself and you have those doubts, that the faster you can work through those doubts is the faster you can get to the top, you can get to the podium. And so never I'm never going to say never, but when you have those moments of doubt, don't spend too long there.
Yeah.
Really just focus on just the Bravo framework, like I said, but just being brave enough to start, rise in the moment, acting despite your fear, validate and celebrate every small step that you take. And even if you fall off and it takes months or years to get back on track, that's okay, because every day is a new day to make a fresh start. And you just want to celebrate that you took the time to make the effort, and then own your progress and really just celebrate and enjoy the journey, because that's what's going to get you to where you need to grow. And that's how, and so that's a long-winded way to say that I just want to touch as many people as I can. So I will start with 1,000, and I'll see
Yeah.
how many I get to by the time I'm 80.
Well, say this, and we'll come to a close. You've already touched way more than 1,000 lives. So you've done that
Thank
throughout
you.
your career. This is just the next evolution of, making sure that the things that you learn can continue to inspire, to grow, nurture the next generation, because this is a generation impact that we're making. So
Yes.
I absolutely love that you were here with me tonight having this conversation. Y'all, this has been such a great way to spend Sunday evening. I just want to say thank
Absolutely.
you to all of those who came here on the live show. So we had Jennifer, who was on the LinkedIn side, and we also had Kamala. I don't know.
Kamala. Mhm.
Kamala. I keep saying that wrong. I apologize, Kamala, on the YouTube side. So thank you, ladies, for being over there on those two platforms. And then over here on the Facebook side, I had Douglas, Leslie, Aunt Sadie, Tiffany. I want to make sure I got everybody. Lindsay. Um, yes, that on the Facebook side, y'all were holding it down for us. And y'all, this has been the Slay to Success talk show. Just coming back from a great weekend. Hopefully, everybody had a good weekend. Happy Valentine's Day. I know it's post Valentine's Day, but those that um, uh, did something yesterday to celebrate or not, still acknowledging love for you all. And thank you so much for your patience on this show today, with all the technical glitches and whatever we got going on in the background. We will be back here next Sunday evening. I have another SLAYMAZING guest, of course, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, back here on the show. So go tell your friends. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so that way you're not missing out on any of the future episodes. Follow us. Veta is on LinkedIn. She's on TikTok. Now she's on EPIC, on Instagram. Just go find her, VetaBravo, Veta Hurst. Plug those names in there, and you will quickly discover what we have been talking about and what she's doing on the social media platforms.
That's right.
And then you could follow me wherever, any of these platforms except for Epic. I ain't there yet, or TikTok. So I gotta get on Vita's schedule. But we absolutely appreciate you all being here. And of course, keep on slaying until you can't slay no more.
Can't
And
slay
we will
no
see you
more.
all very soon. Thank you, Vita. Thank you, everybody, for
Thank
being here.
you. Bye, everyone. Thanks for
Bye.
coming out. Bye.